before the cameras captured chaos and social media exploded with theories. Everything in the love and hip-hop universe seemed unusually calmest to calm. Yandi Smith and Rashida, two women praised for their professionalism, leadership, and long-standing friendships within the franchise, appeared to be on solid ground. Publicly, they exchanged compliments, supported each other's business ventures, and celebrated each other's wins. Fans admired their sisterhood, believing it represented a rare example of unity in an industry built on competition and entertainment-driven conflict. On set, producers noticed the smoothness, no sadis, no shade, no tension lurking beneath the surface. Castmates even commented on how refreshing it was to see two powerful women working together without ego or agenda. But behind the smiles, subtle energy shifts had already begun quiet, almost invisible to the untrained eye. A missed phone call, a canceled meeting, a conversation that felt different. A slight change in tone. Nothing explosive, just enough to create questions, but not enough to spark concern. It was the kind of brewing conflict that reality TV rarely notices until it's too late. At industry events, observers noticed Rashida appearing slightly distant. It's more reserved around Yandi, while Yandi seemed overly accommodating, trying to keep everything flowing. But nobody thought much of it. After all, friendships evolve. Life gets busy. People get tired, and viewers certainly weren't expecting drama. If anything, they anticipated another season showcasing growth, entrepreneurship, motherhood, music, and emotional healing. Even the show's editors initially treated footage of Yandi and Rashida as filler, not future headlines. Yet, this period of calm was deceptively quiet, so thick it felt staged by fate. Like the moment right before a storm cloud breaks open, or a glass shatters from too much pressure. In hindsight, many now say the warning signs were there all along, buried in gestures and silence. But at the time, the narrative remained peaceful, controlled, and beautifully presentable. A single conversation changed everything. Looking back, it's clear this calm wasn't paset, was buildup. Emotional weight gathering like humidity in the air. Now, fans are re-watching old clips, searching for clues, wondering how long the tension had been simmering beneath polished smiles. Because storms never come out of nowhere. They always start with a stillness so perfect it feels unreal. And for Yandi and Rashida, this was that stillness, the quiet before the storm that would shake everything. What began as a routine on-camera conversation, something simple, something harmless, quickly spiraled into the moment that changed everything between Yandi and Rashida. They were seated across from each other, surrounded by bright production lights, crew members quietly adjusting microphones, and castmates casually observing without any expectation of conflict. At first, the dialogue sounded calm, respectful, almost productive, as they discussed loyalty, communication, and recent events within the group. But then a subtle shift occurred, tone sharpened, eye contact intensified. An unspoken history began entering the room like a third presence. Rashida's voice, steady but edged with frustration, questioned whether transparency had been mutual or one-sided. Yandi, usually measured and careful with her words, responded with a firmness people weren't used to seeing from her, implying that certain truths had been selectively delivered. That was the spark. Suddenly, every sentence carried weight. Every facial expression became evidence. And every pause hinted at resentment that had been building long before this moment. The cameras kept rolling, sensing something monumental. Producers leaned forward, realizing this wasn't manufactured drama, this was real emotion. Real disappointment, real betrayal. Castmates watched in stunned silence, unsure whether to intervene or stay out of the crossfire. The exchange escalated with each passing second, voices slightly rising, accusations becoming more direct. Memories being brought up that hadn't been discussed in years. Rashida questioned Yandi's intentions, suggesting that loyalties shouldn't need to be performed for the public. Yandi countered that silence shouldn't allow misinformation to thrive. No insults, no yelling, no profanity, just surgical honesty delivered with painful precision. And sometimes that hurts more than screaming ever could. Even the air felt heavier, as if the room understood that once certain truths are spoken, they can't be taken back. The tension became so palpable that the crew stopped moving, afraid their footsteps might intensify the moment. For the first time, viewers saw the fragile foundation beneath the polished friendship, realizing that unresolved issues, misunderstandings, rumors, and emotional exhaustion had been quietly stacking like dominoes. One flick on to now they were falling. When the exchange finally ended, there was no dramatic walk-off, no shattered glass, no explosive meltdown. Instead, an icy silence filled the space colder, louder, more haunting than any argument. Rashida looked away, arms crossed, processing. Yandi exhaled deeply, blinking back whatever emotion she refused to show on camera. Everyone watching instinctively knew something had shifted permanently. The line had been crossed. The storm had officially begun. The moment footage of the heated exchange leaked online, whether intentionally or through one of those mysterious production accidents fans love to analyze. The internet transformed into a digital battlefield, and suddenly, Yandi and Rashida were no longer just reality TV stars. They were trending topics, debate material, and cultural talking points. Within minutes, Twitter timelines flooded with reaction videos, memes, screenshots, slowed-down clips, and exaggerated subtitles as fans attempted to dissect every eyebrow raise, every pause, every carefully delivered sentence. Hashtags like hashtag Team YANDI and hashtag RASHIDA was right exploded, creating an instant divide that felt less like casual fan commentary and more like organized stan warfare. Instagram bloggers reposted fragments of the exchange, adding captions, speculation, and dramatic music as if scoring a movie trailer. TikTok creators stitched the clip, breaking down body language, voice inflection, emotional cues, and what each micro-expression might symbolize. While fan pages compared this moment to some of the biggest reality TV confrontations of the past decade, even people who hadn't watched Love and Hip Hop in years suddenly had opinions, claiming they knew this was coming. And in true internet fashion, the theories multiplied, some outrageous, some surprisingly believable, suggesting business deals gone wrong, private conversations taken out of context, old betrayals resurfacing, and hidden alliances influencing what viewers saw. Meanwhile, celebrities, influencers, podcast hosts, and gossip commentators jumped into the conversation, offering their own versions of what really happened, turning a personal disagreement into a cultural spectacle. Brands subtly distanced themselves, fans wrote essays in comment sections, and neutral viewers begged for context. But the most unsettling part wasn't the noisette, was the silence. Neither Yandi nor Rashida addressed the situation, and that digital quiet felt louder than anything they could have said. Their silence became its own storyline, fueling even more speculation and pushing fans to question whether the drama extended beyond what the camera captured. Every Instagram story, every liked post, every unfollow, every cryptic song lyric suddenly felt like a clue. Social media had turned into a magnifying glass, zooming in on every detail and refusing to look away. And just like that, what started as a tense conversation between two women became a public phenomenon, impossible to contain. The internet didn't just react, it detonated, amplifying the situation into something far bigger than the original moment. At this point, the question wasn't whether the drama was real, but how far it would spread and who would speak first, just when fans thought the drama had reached its peak. The storyline took a darker, more unexpected turn as hidden allegations once whispered behind closed doors suddenly pushed their way into the spotlight, transforming a personal disagreement into a full-blown scandal with far-reaching consequences. It began subtly, with a few anonymous accounts posting cryptic messages hinting that the tension between Yandi and Rashida wasn't rooted in petty jealousy or miscommunication, but in something deeper, something tied to Mendeecees and a past that had been carefully protected from public consumption. Soon after, blogs began circulating claims of undisclosed relationships, private conversations, and contradictory timelines that didn't quite align with the narrative fans believed for years. Screenshot receipts surfaced messages allegedly exchanged late at night, tagged photos that mysteriously disappeared, and comments suggesting emotional boundaries may have been blurred long before cameras captured the current fallout. While some dismissed these claims as clout chasing or manufactured drama for ratings, others insisted the puzzle pieces fit a little too perfectly. What made matters worse was the uncertainty. No one knew what was real, what was exaggerated, or what was intentionally planted to manipulate public perception. Rumors spread that cast members had known about the issue for months but stayed silent to protect. Reputations, relationships, and business deals. Producers reportedly scrambled to re-edit episodes, reshuffle storylines, and prepare for the public reaction they knew was coming. Meanwhile, fans began revisiting old interviews, social media posts, event photos, and past episodes, searching for hints they might have missed: awkward body language, sudden distance between friends, unexplained absences, or uncomfortable laughter that now seemed heavy with hidden meaning. The allegations didn't just target personal relationships, they threatened legacies, marriages, brands, and public images carefully curated over years of grinding, hustling, and rebuilding. The emotional stakes skyrocketed. Supporters urged everyone to wait for facts, while critics demanded statements, accountability, and transparency. And through it all, Yandi and Rashida remained publicly quiet, refusing to confirm, deny, or even acknowledge the growing firestorm, which only fueled speculation further. Their silence became a canvas onto which the internet painted its own narrative: messy, dramatic, and impossible to contain. Suddenly, the storyline wasn't about a disagreement, it was about secrets, loyalty, assumptions, and the devastating power of information released at the wrong time. And as the rumors continued to multiply, one chilling realization settled over the fan base. If these allegations were only the beginning, then the real explosion hadn't even happened yet. As the hidden allegations surrounding Yandi, Rashida, and Mendeecees began to surface, the ripple effect hit the rest of the cast like a tidal wave, forcing friends, frenemies, and neutral parties alike to pick sides or at least figure out where their loyalties truly lay. On set, whispers escalated into hushed conversations, then private confrontations as everyone tried to process what was being revealed and determine how it would affect their own standing within the show's fragile ecosystem. Some cast members were visibly shocked, their eyes widening as pieces of information they had long suspected suddenly became undeniable. Others were defensive, immediately jumping to justify themselves or align with one side, worried that silence could be interpreted as betrayal. Friendships that had seemed unshakable suddenly felt fragile, like glass teetering on the edge of a shelf. While alliances formed months ago were quietly questioned in private rooms away from the cameras, conversations in hallways became charged, tones sharpened, and gestures that once seemed casual now carried hidden meaning. A casual glance at a phone, a half smile, or a subtle eye roll could spark speculation, triggering a chain reaction of assumptions and reactions. Meanwhile, producers documented everything, understanding that every word, every gesture, and every subtle emotional shift was gold for the story arc. But even they admitted the intensity had surpassed anything they anticipated. Some cast members took it upon themselves to mediate, trying to calm emotions and prevent further escalation, but the personal stakes were too high, and past grievances too numerous for simple reconciliation. Others quietly observed, recognizing that staying neutral might be the safest strategy. Though even neutrality came with a cost, as fans and colleagues alike began reading motives into silence. Social media also amplified the internal drama, with clips leaked or shared, casting certain cast members in the middle of controversy they hadn't asked for. Pressure mounted as everyone realized that their personal decisions, whom to trust, whom to defend, and how to navigate alliances would be publicly scrutinized. Friendships were tested in real time, loyalties questioned, and reputations risked with every conversation. The tension wasn't just about Yandi, Rashida, or Mendeecees, it was about survival within a high-stakes environment where every reaction mattered. By the end of the day, the cast had been irrevocably changed. Some had taken sides openly, others quietly, and some remained in limbo, waiting to see which way the storm would blow next. What had started as a private conflict had now engulfed the entire ensemble, leaving everyone acutely aware that nothing would ever be the same, and that every relationship would have to be carefully recalibrated in the wake of secrets, revelations, and emotional fallout as the tension on set continued to escalate. Yandi realized that uncovering the full story required confronting the man at the center of the latest scandal, Mendeecees. What had started as whispered rumors and scattered hints of undisclosed relationships had grown into a storm that threatened not only friendships, but the credibility of everyone involved. Determined to get answers, Yandi approached Mendeecees privately, her steps deliberate, her expression a mix of resolve and simmering frustration. "How long were you planning to keep this from everyone?" she asked, her voice calm but charged with intensity, demanding honesty without shouting, but making it clear she expected the truth. Mendeecees, caught off guard, avoided eye contact, shifting uncomfortably under her piercing gaze. He admitted that he had intended to handle the situation quietly, believing it was the best way to protect everyone involved. But the admission only fanned the flames of tension. Yandi pressed further, carefully threading questions about timing, intentions, and the implications for Rashida and the rest of the cast. Each answer revealed more layers, more complexity, and more reasons why the situation had spiraled out of control. She listened, measured each response, and responded with pointed statements that left no room for excuses, her determination unwavering. Every revelation added emotional weight to an already charged environment, and she realized that addressing the truth openly was the only way to prevent further deception, speculation, and damage. As the confrontation progressed, the emotional toll on both Yandi and Mendeecees became evident. His hesitancy, guilt, and defensive posture contrasted sharply with her composure, resolve, and insistence on accountability. Meanwhile, the silent tension of the set seemed to extend into this private moment, the air thick with anticipation, as if the crew themselves felt the gravity of what was unfolding. This confrontation also highlighted the delicate balance of personal and professional stakes, the risk of public fallout, the strain on friendships, and the emotional cost of secrets revealed under pressure. It became clear that the drama wasn't just about public perception. It was about confronting uncomfortable truths, acknowledging past mistakes, and navigating the intricate web of relationships that had been quietly unraveling for months. By the time their conversation ended, Yandi had extracted the clarity she needed. But the consequences were far from settled. Mendeecees' admissions had shifted the dynamics not only between himself and Yandi, but also within the larger cast. Relationships would need to be reevaluated, trust rebuilt, and accountability enforced. The confrontation marked a turning point, a catalyst that ensured the ripple effects would be felt in every interaction, every argument, and every decision moving forward, setting the stage for even more explosive developments as the season progressed, with Mendeecees' revelations adding a combustible layer to the situation. The rivalry between Yandi and Rashida escalated to new heights, transforming every interaction into a high-stakes confrontation. What had started as a tense disagreement was no longer confined to subtle glares or pointed comments. It had evolved into a full-blown clash that held the entire cast and crew on edge. Every hallway encounter, every casual comment, every glance carried the potential to ignite yet another argument. The cameras captured everything: the sharp tone in Yandi's voice, the subtle tightening of Rashida's jaw, the micro-expressions that betrayed long-held resentment, and the way silence itself became a weapon. Onlookers watched in stunned anticipation, aware that even a small misstep could set off a chain reaction that would dominate the rest of the day's filming. The arguments became increasingly strategic, almost like a chess match where every word, pause, and gesture was calculated to assert dominance or reveal hidden truths. Both women navigated their emotions with a mix of intensity and precision, knowing that the audience, producers, and even each other were watching closely. Rashida's fiery temperament clashed with Yandi's controlled but unwavering determination, creating a volatile mix that neither could fully contain. The tension bled into interactions with other cast members who found themselves caught in the crossfire, forced to mediate or risk being drawn into the storm. Meanwhile, the weight of social media scrutiny loomed over every action. Fans dissected every clip, debated loyalties, and scrutinized body language, amplifying the pressure on both women to maintain composure while defending their positions. What made the escalation even more dramatic was the constant undercurrent of secrecy and mistrust. Every revelation about Mendeecees' private life, every uncovered misstep or hidden agenda added fuel to the fire, keeping emotions high and stakes even higher. Old grievances resurfaced, alliances shifted. Even minor comments were interpreted as betrayals, intensifying the conflict with every passing minute. By the end of the day, it was clear that the rivalry had reached a critical point. The personal feud was no longer contained. It had become the defining drama of the season, impacting relationships, reputations, and the very atmosphere of the set. Both Yandi and Rashida realized that nothing would be the same. The emotional wounds were raw, the stakes higher than ever. And every interaction from this point forward would carry the weight of the unfolding conflict. The escalation had set the stage for even more explosive confrontations, ensuring that viewers and cast members alike would be riveted, waiting for the next spark in a rivalry that showed no signs of cooling down. After days of escalating tension, public scrutiny, and emotional confrontations, a subtle shift began to emerge between Yandi and Rashida, signaling the first steps toward resolution. Though the path remained fragile and uncertain, the storm of arguments, accusations, and revelations had left both women exhausted, their emotions raw, and their patience tested to the limit. Yet beneath the surface of frustration and anger, a quiet acknowledgement of mutual vulnerability started to appear. Away from the cameras, they engaged in moments of tentative dialogue, speaking in softer tones, choosing words carefully, and allowing glimpses of honesty to seep through the defenses that had previously dominated their interactions. Yandi admitted the emotional toll of carrying secrets and confronting betrayals, while Rashida acknowledged the fear and self-preservation that had driven her decisions, revealing a side rarely seen on screen. These candid exchanges, though brief and intermittent, began to shift the energy on set, creating pockets of calm amid the lingering tension. The cast and crew noticed the change immediately. The charged atmosphere was slightly less suffocating, though still heavy with anticipation, as everyone sensed that the dynamic between the two women was entering a new phase, one where confrontation could gradually transform into understanding. Social media, still buzzing with speculation, mirrored the tentative reconciliation, with fans dissecting subtle signs, softer glances, neutral interactions, and small acts of compromise or acknowledgement. Meanwhile, the broader implications of Mendeecees' revelations continued to unfold. But the focus was slowly shifting from blame to dialogue, accountability, and the possibility of rebuilding trust. Yandi and Rashida began exploring what reconciliation might look like, negotiating boundaries, sharing perspectives, and testing the waters of empathy. Each step was careful, deliberate, and fraught with the potential for setbacks. But it marked a significant evolution from the explosive clashes that had defined the earlier days. The rest of the cast responded cautiously, respecting the space while remaining aware that the tension could reignite at any moment. The narrative on screen and the energy behind it started reflecting a balance of reflection and confrontation, showing that even amidst chaos, growth was possible. By the end of this period, it was evident that while the feud was far from fully resolved, meaningful progress had been made. The confrontation that once threatened to tear apart relationships and ignite A public scandal had begun to transform into a story of accountability, learning, and the fragile but essential process of rebuilding connections. The tension remained. But now it carried a glimmer of hope, a promise that honesty, acknowledgement, and willingness to confront difficult truths could pave the way for a more stable and less volatile future, even under the unrelenting scrutiny of reality television. As the heated confrontations, shocking revelations, and tentative reconciliations unfolded on set, fans quickly became an integral part of the drama, amplifying the intensity through an unrelenting social media frenzy that spread across platforms like wildfire. Every word exchanged between Yandi and Rashida, every subtle glance, and each revelation about Mendeecees' private life was dissected, analyzed, and debated in real time by thousands of viewers hungry for insight into the unfolding saga. Clips from filming sessions circulated within minutes, with fans replaying arguments, scrutinizing body language, and speculating about hidden motives, alliances, and past betrayals that had fueled the tension. Hashtags trended worldwide as debates ignited, dividing audiences into factions, some firmly supporting Yandi, praising her courage to confront secrets and demand accountability, while others empathized with Rashida, arguing that her attempts at self-preservation were justified and that she had been unfairly vilified. Memes, reaction videos, and commentary threads exploded, creating an ecosystem of speculation that often blurred the line between reality and dramatization. The fervor wasn't limited to casual viewers. Influencers, entertainment bloggers, and even former cast members added fuel to the fire, sharing opinions, teasing new developments, and predicting the next escalation. Meanwhile, fans dissected social media posts, interviews, and even red carpet appearances for hidden clues about the relationships and betrayals hinted at during filming, attempting to piece together a coherent narrative from fragmented information. This collective analysis created a feedback loop, where online reactions influenced cast behavior and cast reactions fueled further discussion, keeping the drama alive beyond the confines of the show itself. Emotional investment ran high as viewers debated loyalty, morality, and the consequences of secrets being exposed under public scrutiny. Fan theories about Mendeecees' alleged hidden relationships and past manipulations proliferated, with some predicting alliances would collapse entirely, while others argued that reconciliation between Yandi and Rashida was possible if honesty prevailed. Social media became a stage of its own, where followers felt intimately connected to the narrative, offering a continuous commentary that rivaled the on-screen drama. In this digital whirlwind, the story extended beyond television, illustrating how modern reality shows operate not just within the filming set, but in the court of public opinion. The emotional engagement of fans heightened every confrontation, magnifying stakes and ensuring that each revelation carried amplified significance. By the end of this phase, it was undeniable. The saga had transcended the cameras, becoming a multi-layered, interactive experience where the cast's actions, the secrets revealed, and the rivalries played out as much online as they did on set, keeping audiences captivated, speculative, and eagerly anticipating the next explosive episode. As the dust settled on the explosive confrontations, shocking revelations, and tentative reconciliations, the aftermath of the drama between Yandi, Rashida, and Mendeecees left an indelible mark on the entire love and hip-hop community, reshaping relationships, alliances, and the way the cast approached both personal and professional interactions. The emotional intensity of previous days lingered, casting a shadow over the set and creating an environment where every conversation was measured, every glance scrutinized, and every gesture analyzed for hidden meaning. Yandi and Rashida, having confronted each other and begun the painstaking process of acknowledging truths, reflected on the personal toll of the feud, recognizing both the growth and the scars it had left behind. Mendeecees, whose private life had sparked the initial upheaval, now faced the full consequences of secrets revealed, as the cast and fans alike reevaluated their perceptions of trust, loyalty, and integrity. Meanwhile, social media continued to buzz with debate, theories and speculation, proving that the impact of the events extended far beyond the walls of the studio. Clips, reactions, and fan commentary proliferated, dissecting each subtle expression, analyzing every word exchanged, and theorizing about future interactions, ensuring that the saga remained a living, evolving story in the public eye. The experience forced the cast to confront difficult questions about accountability, transparency, and the fragility of relationships under the glare of fame, highlighting that even minor omissions or hidden actions could escalate into full-blown crises with lasting repercussions. Amid the tension, there were moments of reflection and learning. Yandi and Rashida discovered the importance of direct communication, the need to navigate disagreements with both honesty and empathy, and the recognition that unresolved issues left unaddressed can fester and magnify over time. The legacy of the drama became apparent not just in interpersonal dynamics, but also in how fans engaged with the show, creating a heightened level of emotional investment and anticipation for future episodes. Production teams adapted, understanding that the energy generated by raw emotion and conflict could be harnessed to tell more compelling stories while maintaining ethical boundaries. Ultimately, the aftermath underscored the intricate interplay between personal vulnerability, public perception, and entertainment, revealing the high stakes of life under constant scrutiny. While the feud was far from fully resolved, the revelations and confrontations had initiated a process of growth, learning, and recalibration. The ripple effects of these events promised to influence the cast, the storytelling of the series, and the audience's engagement for weeks, if not months, to come. In the end, the drama between Yandi, Rashida, and Mendeecees was not just a fleeting conflict. It became a defining chapter in reality television history, a testament to the power of honesty, confrontation, and the enduring impact of human emotion when amplified by fame and scrutiny.